Here we are. Mr. Kirk Verner,
Yes,
how are
sir.
you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, thank you. Hey, man, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're probably home with your family on a Friday evening
Yeah.
or afternoon. It's afternoon for you, or?
It's like 6 o'clock.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, but thank you so much for taking the time off your family and
No problem.
whatever you do on Friday to
Yeah,
be with
my
us. So tell me a little bit about. Let's talk about you a little bit, man. What made you get into skydiving?
Well, my parents owned a drop zone, and I grew up. My father opened a drop zone in '65. I was born in '66, and I grew up on the drop zone. Packing parachutes when I was old enough, and when I hit 16, I started jumping, and that was in 1982. I just, working at the drop zone and static line instructor and things like that, and then when tandem came out in 86 or 87, I got a tandem rating, and then I started competing in 1988, and then I just started taking off from there, and I was at my dad's place until 92, and then I started just training full time.
That's cool. After all this time, after all these jumps, is it still gratifying? Is it still exciting?
Super fun, yeah. The feeling of the movement's great, of course, but also just the teamwork part of it. But I think just the whole thing of skydiving is really so unique that honestly, I think that a few hundred years from now, they'll look back on what we did here, and they're going to think it almost totally insane. Deceleration device is only nylon. But it's super cool. And like I said, it's such the feeling of the movement. It feels really nice to me.
That's awesome. Well, maybe in 100 years from now, we'll have an anti-gravity system
Maybe.
where we don't need parachutes.
Retro rockets or something.
That's a great idea, man. That's awesome. And well, you were part of. We just had our last interview was with Jack and Dan, BC, and you were part of that too. I mean, you're part of that whole scene of creating that methodology and how to do things differently, and really bring professionalism into the skydiving. I mean, of course, the French were doing that stuff, but you guys came up with a way of doing things that were methodical, right?
Correct.
So that was so cool. What do you have something to talk about that? I mean, can you share with us?
Yeah, part of that was that we at that time with airspeed we had blended the West Coast and the East Coast a little bit. Not a little bit, we did, and I knew that those guys were both saying the same thing. Dan and Jack were both saying the same thing basically, and just how they went about it was what was different. But then when we came together, we hired professionals to help us with our methods and how we communicate with each other and things like that. And then we kind of formed it into our own system. From there we take a little bit of advice from this person and that person, and it morphed into a very nice system for us. And basically, it allowed us to communicate. We could execute during training days, no matter what came in front of us, personally or whatever. And it allowed us to compartmentalize. We could put that to the side, do our training, and knew that we would be able to communicate with each other about what we liked or what we didn't like. And that part of it was really good. And then it was just a lot of research and development. We were trying to do a 20 average, which nobody had done. And when you see somebody else doing something, then it's very easy to catch up. I can do that. You look at it, you emulate it. But we were scratching and clawing for every point, and because we didn't have a model to really to look at, at that point. Nobody did because nobody had done a 20. And then once we did it, we all kind of did it at the same time, the French and us, and I think the Russians as well. It was all very close in there, but we were all racing for it. And so that part of it was good. Our communication and how we were able to, really see what each other needed and what was important for each other. and it made us way stronger, of course, you know. It gets away from the individualized feeling and then more of the team.
That's fantastic, man. I mean, and I was talking to those guys last week, and it's exactly it. You guys had no starting point, and you guys created something that's still being used today. I mean, it was such a great change. It's unbelievable what you guys did. So, and you're still competing, right?
Yeah, I'm on the U.S. team right now for 8-way, and we've been training even through COVID-19. We were all here, luckily, when it all sort of the lockdown happened. And we kept in the tunnel, and we were training in the tunnel. I mean, we had already been around each other, you know, so we continued training, and then we started jumping. Spotty, we had some rough weather this during the spring anyway, so even if we wouldn't have had the lockdown, we wouldn't have missed a lot of training days. But when we got good weather and we were in phase 1, then we started dropping. And it was, you know, we're jumping hard. And it's cool and great, man. It's a very unique blend of people. And with, you know, wind tunnels now, with the big wind tunnels, and being able to train anyway, and all the other teams and countries that are out there doing the same thing and pushing each other, it's going to be a big story for the 2020 Mondial, which is now in 2021.
Right. And you're still coaching as well?
I am, yeah. I still coach, and I'll do anything to drop some. I'll do AFF, I don't care, whatever.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
That's what I was going to say.
I'll do whatever I need to do. Do a lot of military contracting. It's all, you know, the jumping out of airplanes part, man, I love all aspects of it.
So how many hats do you have? I mean, you're a DZ manager, you're the tunnel manager, you're a coach, you're an 8-way. How many hats do you have right now?
Well, it's all blended into one, really. You know what I mean? It all kind of blends together. You know, the whole team at Paraclete is really great, and we have a very good, like Airspeed, a very good way of communicating with all the people that are in their departments at Paraclete, and so it really runs super smooth. We, you know, we have. Everybody has the same goal. You know, we want to give very good lift capacity and safe jumping, and of course, you know, we sell wind at the wind tunnel, but we come up with a, you know, we're here to win. We're here to win things, and I think that's what we do really well. Is, you know, we take people that don't sometimes believe they can win, and we make them win. You know, and it's good. We have good tools, and like I said, the management. You know, my boss Tim Nunzio and his sons and everybody. It's just we all have the same vision, you know. So it's easy to see eye to eye and look the same direction at the same time.
That's fantastic. And let me go off course here a little bit. How's the family doing?
They're doing great.
I haven't seen your kids in a long time.
Yeah, well, my son Alex is in Manhattan.
Okay.
He works for Amazon as an IT programmer, and then my daughter Jaden is at UNC Charlotte. She's in college in her second year, and kind of in college now. She's just been not doing much because of COVID. And then my son Trey is 15. He's a sophomore, and then I have two stepkids, Julia, who's 18, and Alyssa, who's 16, and so they both go to school here in North Carolina. And so we're, you know, and then my girlfriend Gina, you know, is on the team with me, you know, and so we're, you know, we get to, you know, team train during the day and then come home and have a, you know, very, very domestic life at home. That's what we are. We don't do much, you know. We're both into you know, working out, getting ready for the world meet, of course, and like you, we both like to cook. And so, you know, we take time at home, and like when we went on the lockdown, we joked about it. It didn't change much for us, you know. We were both of us not likely to go out and go to the bars, and you know, we do go out to the restaurants a little bit, but we've been cooking at home so much because we're working on our diets and all that stuff. So, you know, nothing much changed for us. The kids were a little bit more cooped up, you know.
That's great.
But everybody's great, and on top of that, I think, you know, the whole Paraclete family, you know, we have so many, like I said, it's such a family business, and everybody's doing well, and, you know, we're training for this world meeting tonight. We're very excited about competing against the French and the Russians and Qatar and everybody else, Germany. And so we're excited.
That's awesome. So just one more personal question. Do you guys have a rule about not briefing or debriefing once you got home?
No. In fact, it's just quite the opposite of that. It's actually Gina, is a newer jumper, but she's so inundated into it that we come home and she asks all the right questions about this and that. And sometimes, as you get older, you're just like, not that I don't want to talk about that. That's not it at all. But it's not where my brain's at. And she'll ask me something, I'll think about it. And so we have a lot of very good discussions at home that actually helps the Gateway team because it's very obvious. And we have the same thing with Michelle and Nicholas. I think they have the same thing. There are a couple that are on the team as well. So when we come home, we're talking about. So the next day when we come in, we're talking about engineering or something. We'll say, "Hey, we were watching the jumps last night," and da 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 da. And I think it really helps because then other people are much more likely to do homework. When they know that that Gina and I and Nick and Michelle are both. They're definitely doing it because we're talking. So the whole team's doing a very good job that way of immersing themselves in it, and that's really what it boils down to is how many jumps and how intense it goes. Winning world meets is about a good plan and making a lot of jumps for sure.
Right, that's fantastic. And I want to get back to. Let me ask you this. And last week we were talking to your buddies, your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
You guys that changed it, and we were trying to put a parallel between jumping and the methodology you guys put, and professional life and normal professional life, and being in an office or our personal lives. In trying to make a parallel with that, and how do you prepare for a professional jump? As in, do you prepare mentally or physically? Of course, physically, yes, but do you prepare mentally differently from a championship jump to an AFF jump?
Right. Well, to some degree, except around the gear familiarity and things like that. I'm a very big. I saw something on Facebook today where Dan made a jump. He's like, I touched my handles 27 times, and I'm a big touching my handles guy on every jump. If I'm making 14 jumps and training jumps in a day, or if I'm making 5 fun jumps or whatever, I'm very gear aware. But certainly, as you get prepared for world meets, I think sometimes people don't understand that around at a world meet, it is such a high level of intensity in your brain. It's the most important jump you've ever made in your life. And the pressure's a lot, but as well, you're riding that pressure to your advantage. Once you get off your airplane, it's your arena, and you're in it. It's all offense. So the pressure, man, like I said, I've told this to a lot of people, it's so on such a higher level than any other jump at a world meet, And to go along with that, we just had a talk with XP8 about making sure that we try to treat all these jumps the same as much as you can, and not just, not come in the morning not ready for the jumps, not dirt dove or whatever it is that you would do around the world meet. You would be prepared in your head mentally and making sure that the practice tries to emulate the world meet as much as possible. You can't do that. It's not. I haven't been able to replicate around at a world meet anywhere, and so we're trying. You try to do that, but gear-wise, they're the same. Headspace wise, the AFF jump is way easier mentally. You know what I mean?
Right.
No matter what you got in your hands, So, but it is a lot of mental training, and everybody's probably been watching. There's a couple of shows out there on the one about Formula One on Netflix, amazing reality show, and they talk a lot about the mental part of what those drivers are doing and the mental training that they're doing. Because they're playing a real life video game.
Yeah, and a big for me still is the brain locking, and we were talking about it last week too. And it's like most times I brain locked, it's because I was thinking about not brain locking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The elephant in the room sort of thing, Don't think about this. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like when you get out of the moment, right? I mean, be a good athlete always tries to stay in the moment. If I get too far ahead, that's bad. If I get too far behind, that's bad too.
Right.
The more that I can stay there, difficult. I try to be there all the time. I'm probably there like 12% of the time in my skydiving career. You know what I mean? Where you're just like,
No, but that's fun. And let me go into one of your other hats, being a national director for USPA. I mean, how did that come about?
Correct.
I mean, it's something you thought of? It's something you planned?
No, I didn't actually, but I had over the years in competing, I had certainly gotten angry because maybe something didn't go my way with a comp committee decision, like the competition committee made a decision, and then I can't remember specifically, but I'm sure that happened, and that I complained about it. So after I left Airspeed and I came to Paraclete, I was on the East Coast, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to be a guy that just complains. I'm going to, put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to, run. So I ran and got national director, went on the comp committee, of course, and what I realized right away was that I'm sure this is true in most government stuff, but most of the people were there. They were trying to do the right thing. They were literally trying to do hard. It's hard. Everybody has an opinion, and especially when it affects them, they really have an opinion. And so, I found out really quickly that they were trying to do the right thing. And so as I got into it more, I just wanted to make sure that it was transparent. Like, look, I team train, and making mistakes is a daily thing. I do lots of them, every jump, every day. And part of being a good team and a teammate is you own that. Okay, I got down, I did this, I brain locked here, did this. I'm working on that, And that's the same thing if you're on the board. If I make a mistake, hey, you know what, I made a bad call. Right there, I own that. Instead of trying to not own it, that's where the problem comes in. That's when members get angry. Hey, you guys made a mistake. Our answer should always be, if we did, hey, we made a mistake. We're going to correct it. That's it. And I don't know what more to say. It kind of diffuses the whole thing if you really own it. And we fix it. And we have that a lot on comp committee, where we'll say, some rule will come across and we'll change it. And then there's this long discussion about, well, we don't want to change it and then have to go back and change it back. I'm like, I'm okay with that, actually. Look, if we thought it all the way through and we still want to change this rule, and then the mass part of the membership comes back and like, hey, we don't like that, okay, no problem. You know what I mean? But a lot of times, like with competition in the U.S., there's, 5 people on the committee plus some advisors, and, we're making decisions for the entire thing, and we're trying to do the best thing that we think is the most reasonable, that makes the most sense. And if I don't know something, I'm on the phone with my own experts. If it's CP, I'm calling all the top CP guys. Hey, I don't understand what this is. Help me, And so that was the big thing, that I just really found out that people were really trying to do a good job. They didn't always hit a home run, but they were. And with certainly in the 10 years I've been at the USPA, I feel like the board has been really good at, hey, we made a mistake, and that's the best way to handle making mistakes. Yeah. I made a mistake, I'm gonna try to fix it, and how can I fix it? Give me help. Because a lot of times when things come up and people are like, wait, what happened? What's this? They didn't know what was coming, and if we would have gotten their input, it wouldn't be that. But sometimes it comes across your desk, and you're like, I mean, it seems reasonable, and then there's a reason why we don't have to do that. We find out late. So
Yeah, I think that rule applies to everything in life, right? Even
Sure.
personally and stuff with friendships and wives
Yep.
and girlfriends and stuff. I mean, as long as you say, "Yeah, I did it, and I'm sorry, and let's correct it," man, it's all good, I
Yeah.
guess.
How can I make this better?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And so you've been there for 10 years. What's next? I mean, are
Well,
you?
this one's going to be my last term at USPA. I feel like the board needs turnover. I think they need new people in there. I do. I've said that from the very beginning that I don't think the same people should be there the whole time. Now, you do need people there that are senior, that can kind of direct the new board how to go. But I just feel like that I've done a good swath in there, and I don't really you know, I think it's time for somebody else to go in there and do it. And so I'm happy to advise and help the top committee. If they need it, they won't need it. They know what to do. But yeah, and then from there, I'm just going to continue running the drop zone and jumping with people. And after the world meet, I don't think that the world meet, doing another world meet is in my cards. I'm I'll be 54 here pretty quick. So, and my body's doing pretty good, but you can feel it, man. I'm with young guys in there, man. There's young people in here, and I'm not one of them. So, but I feel good right now. I feel great.
So you and Ed Scott leaving at the same time. Is that a message?
Yeah, overall, Ed's done a very, very, very good job. I don't think it's an easy job. You know what I mean? Like
I'm
just
sure
like
not.
that.
I'm sure
there's a bunch
it's
of
not.
people, pulling, and there's so much balance in there. And I think he's done a good job. And I think hopefully whoever we decide on as the new executive director, that we make that decision early enough that they can get in there and ride on his coattails. He's put a good model out there, so it won't be hard to follow. And I think that's one thing that executive directors, or maybe not executive directors, but people that come into something, is they tend to have, I'm going to have all these new ideas. Yeah, you know what? You gotta go along and get along sometimes. And I think the easiest way is just to flow in, easy for whoever it is, and make everything, make it a harmonious vibe, and it's an easy way to do it. But they've done a great job. The government relations part of USPA has been amazing. As a whole, man, like I can't just single them out, but I hear about them with access to drop zone, airports, and you get to hear a lot about what they're doing, and they're constantly on top of it, as headquarters and everything.
And what committees are you in, and what do they do? What
I'm
are
just
those
on
committees?
comp committee. Yeah, I'm on comp. The only other one that I would really want to be on would be safety and training, and you can't do both of those. You got to be separate on those. And so I've just been on comp, and then comp on the ISC comp committee as well.
And what do those committees do? I mean, safety and training is pretty basic, but
Safety and training has a huge agenda. They have a huge, way bigger than comp typically. It's usually safety and training and comp have the first, and then safety and training's agenda is massive because there's so many things that happen in the field, and it's there's a lot more people that are just instructors and stuff like that, and more than competitors have. So they're man, it's like I look at things and I'm like, wow, and they do an excellent job. I will say safety and training. They do all the right things. They've got very smart people, active jumpers in there, and then they also have very good advisors, and they look to the guys that have been on there before and ask the right questions, I think, so that same thing that they don't repeat history if possible, But yeah, they do a really good job. All of that. I mean, all the committees it's pretty tight.
that's great. And I mean, just as the last thing with USPA, just the last thing about national director. Can you just explain to people what a national director does that impact their lives? I mean, what do you do on a daily basis, or in office
Well,
that impacts? I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people may not know that.
the main thing that comes up, I mean, it goes in waves. Sometimes I'm not busy at all with that. I haven't been busy much because we've been on lockdown. But it's certainly weekly conversations with between Steve Hubbard and I, the director of competition, and sometimes Ed Scott, and certainly my committee members about things that come up, and other things as well. You have a lot of, we always, we don't allow people under 18 to jump in this country, and so you have the executive committee will have something come across their desk about looking for a waiver for a child with Make-A-Wish Foundation to make a tandem. And so that has to come out, and they do a vote. And that's typically a vote that goes through, but we still have to do all the rules. We will go by Robert's rules, and we try not to break down out of that, because then it's just anarchy. And so, there's a lot of that, but it's mainly conversations, I mean, you get on the phone and something's come up, but Steve Hubbard and I, we have a lot of that, and but it's been quiet for the last couple of months for sure. There's been a lot going on. Let's talk about COVID-19, of course, and how that's being handled. But it's been a little bit quiet. But we had to move our board meeting. The board meeting got pushed to September, and who knows, who knows how it's going to go in the next couple months. So we'll see.
Are your meetings? They must be presential.
We pick a city and we try to travel it around the country just a little bit, so that that you can get to the membership, and because we typically have a general membership meeting. Man, I want to say it's in the winter time, but I can't remember. And we try to move it around so that you get on the West Coast, East Coast, Middle, and everywhere. And but typically it's just we fly into an international airport, we go to a hotel, we do 3 days of meetings, and we fly out. So it doesn't matter so much where we are a lot. But people do come everywhere we've gone. People do come and watch the meetings. Members, they come and watch. And we try to be as open as we can. The only time you can't be open in a meeting is if you're talking about some disciplinary action or something like that. Then you have to have a closed session. But otherwise, it's pretty open. It certainly is for comp. I know.
That's fantastic, man. Now, going back to high-level skydiving. So you guys created that methodology way back then. That's still up and running. And you started, by my head counts here, you have 38 to 39 years of skydiving, right?
Yeah, I started in 82. So, God, what is that? Yeah, it's 38 years.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. Wow. What happened?
Exactly. We're getting old, man. I started in 83, so I'm trailing right behind.
Right in there, right?
But so you mentioned in the beginning that you went right to the high level of skydiving right early on, and apparently, of course, you being at a drop zone the whole time, and your father was your father a competitor as well?
He was a competitor.
Sorry.
He's a competitor in style and accuracy, because that was the times. He has about 6,000 jumps, and he was a very good both style and accuracy. But that was a lot in the PC days. Right. He's at 3,000 jumps on rounds, and the rest on squares. And I think Dad probably stopped jumping around like 95 or 96. He's a little beat up. 2,500, 3,000 jumps on squares, man. That'll or on rounds, that'll beat you up,
Yeah, I remember that, because we had to do T10s and then T10s. Actually, TUs, then T10s, and then go to
PCs.
What is it?
Air Commanders, PCs.
No, we first we went to Papillons, the French one, and then to PCs. Yeah. That was the progression.
What hurt my dad was the downwinding into the accuracy pit mainly, because they didn't have any forward drive, so they did downwind accuracy landings under these rounds. They'd set up upwind and just come ripping in there. I mean, even the judges were getting hammered. It was dangerous, man. And that's where he hurt himself mainly, was around that. Like he broke his shoulder and broke his leg, from just tumbling, to be honest, So,
And then going back to that passage, was it easy for you to just go from a drop zone dude to a high level skydiver, a competitor? How was that?
Yeah,
How was that
I wasn't.
change?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking so much about it. I knew that I was really enjoyed competing, and we were jumping out of Cessnas, and just jumping as much as we can, and that would amount to 170 training jumps in a year. I mean, jumping as much as you could at that time for us at a Cessna drop zone. And but then I started getting coaching, and I went to the right people. My dad was chief pilot at the Nationals in Muskogee for many years, so he knew a lot of the guys, and therefore they knew me as a kid. And as I came up, I hired Tommy Pyrus, and then Tommy Pyrus put me in touch with Mark Harrington, and then Mark Harrington with the Jack Jeffries, of course, and then then Jack and I made a connection, and then it was just, that's just how it kind of snowballed. But it wasn't. I was certainly had in my head, I want to go to a world meet. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna do whatever I can to be a good teammate on all the teams I am, and really try to be that. And it just, my face was out there enough. I was always at the Nationals, and then getting coaching from the right guys, and it kind of snowballed pretty quick, but it certainly was. I didn't think it was going to be that good. You know what I mean? Or that quick for sure. But I just wanted to do it. I was driven, and I think that made a big difference.
That's awesome. I think we met in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was during this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I've been with you to many record-breaking events and all those events, and I've seen you on nationals and stuff like that. And I can see that you're just a bit more focused, but I have never seen you look different than you're looking now. I have never seen you looking nervous, basically.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm a good actor. Acting skills.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
You're terrified, like all the things that lead up to it, even around it at Nationals, you want to do well. And it's, like I said, it's all offense. So you have it in there, but you have to, control all of that and know that once I step off that airplane, man, it's all the same air. It's no different, right? All those things that are just in your head, it's not real. And then once that goes out there, you get off the airplane, it's just going as fast as you can go with each other, because it is connected performance. And so the more that we, don't worry about the outcome, the better things go typically, But man, I've had my share of, rough jumps at meets, for sure. And like if you look at the whole picture of it, I had some rough jumps inside. We were just talking about the '97 World Meet. We were up on the young French team, Maubouche, who was coming for us, and we were up on them pretty healthy after like 5 or 6 jumps, and then we had a jump, and we had a terrible jump, and they had a great jump, and we were tied, and so they're super nerve-wracking jumps, man, but super fun as well, so rewarding, It's just such a personal journey, all of it. It's not for anything more than how it feels on the inside. And it feels good, when you accomplish anything. It's just a good jump on a weekend, You're trying to do star, donut, bicycle. And when you complete it, you're just like, yes, it's great, that connected performance part.
That's cool. I was just reading something here. Somebody said it's been on a scary jump with you. So, but do you have a? Have you thought about it? And do you have a and a strategy to do that? Do you have any strategy, a personal strategy for you to keep those fears and those bad thoughts or those not right thoughts? I mean, you can't keep them from coming, but do you have a way for stopping them and pushing them back?
Yeah, I think it's just now you just have to know what's real and what's not real. Thoughts of disaster come into your head. You can't stop that. But if thought of disaster is they're longer than 30 seconds, it's there by choice. And so it's just about a focus, a refocus. Yeah, and for me, I'll be honest with you, part of my nervousness, if I try not to allow my mouth to get super dry, I don't want to be, oh my God, so you try to keep that, which is kind of a distraction, you're just trying to make sure that I'm relaxed and know that once the thing hits the air, and I also have a thing where I think about the exit and to the first point, and then just kind of let it flow from there in my mind. I don't think too far down in the jump, because if I dirt dive a whole lot, for me, I do dirt dive it. But if I do it a whole lot, then I start getting into the things that I worry about in that jump, and it's okay. I'll work that out when I get there, But I am a very good prep person. We're training now, we're doing a lot of sets, right? We do a lot of sets on the throttle. We'll do maybe 4 different draws in a day. But I still will work those first 10 jumps, and I work them at home, and I think about how they're going to go and what I'm looking at, and what the mannerisms are of the current team. You kind of know what people are going to do a little bit, and these are key and stuff. And so I do my homework, 100%. And like I said, Gina and I watch a lot of video, so we come home and do our homework, the debrief for sure. And the same, all the teams have been very good about this. The current lineup, very good about, they'll call, like, BK will call me or Nick will call me, and they'll say, hey, this and that, we see this, and, they're looking at it, and you have to be a fanatic. You have to be a fanatic to do great at anything,
Right, and I've been asking you these questions because it's exactly. I mean, I just want to. I want people to know that what you guys created and all these mentalities, they can actually work for anything in life, not only for skydiving, right?
Everything.
So if you're in a company and you start, and in your life, you wake up and you start thinking about something, you actually create that problem. You make that problem be so bigger than what it is, instead of focusing on your goal and where you want to be, instead of what that little rock, right?
Like that's saying, what you resist, you become, And if you're just tying up about something, man, you have to let things go. You also, in skydiving, a lot of it's training. You have to not be your own worst enemy. You have a lot of people that you're trying to coach them, and you're telling them, this is good. And they're like, yeah, this and that. And look, man, I know what the problems are as well when I'm coaching you. But you got to let go of those. We're not going to sweep problems under the rug. We're going to attack problems. But you can't beat yourself up on things every single day. You have to be nice to your own self as well, and know that you're here because you're driven. You're not going to hide from problems.
Yeah, I saw this. I think my younger sister Tatiana, I think she sent me a phrase one time, a long time ago, that stuck to my mind. Was like, and I don't think it was her phrase, but it was like, worrying is like praying for something you don't wish, or something to that effect.
Yeah, exactly right. You can create your own destiny by, just like not worrying about something, And I knew I was going to brain lock here, or I knew this was going to happen here. Well, yeah, I know. Now, of course, you did.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I told you, it's like every time I brain locked, it was because of that, and it was like you just said it. It was exactly on the same point that I thought I was going to brain lock, and it just happened. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
For sure. I have that sometimes when I'm dirt diving, I will brain lock at a place on the dirt dive. I try to amp that up, and I'll have that in the jump too, especially late in the jump, late where my focus kind of wanes. I start looking around maybe too much, or trying to debrief in the performance execution. And That's another thing we talk about, the system, the plan, execute, debrief, and learn. The pedal system, and we use planning and then executing, then debriefing, and then learning from that debrief. And if you don't separate those areas, like the planning, if you're thinking about the planning during execution phase or debrief during the execution phase, you're completely screwing up. You have to keep them separated and know that I'm executing right now and I can debrief this later. And that's a big thing to get certainly the senior guys on our team, BK and myself and John, debriefing what's going on while we're executing. And then I'll have a brain lock, you know what I mean? So the more that I can just be like a machine, as emotionless as possible during the execution, and we'll know that we're going to have time to look at it and see what's wrong. A lot of times you know what's wrong, Yeah, that wasn't right, and this is why. But it's better if I can just stay on that execution phase.
Right. So how about big ways? How about records and big ways and boogies and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like you enjoyed that a little bit too. I mean, especially boogies. I mean, you've been to Brazil. I mean, I don't even know how many times. Right?
10 or 12 times, I think.
Was that it? I thought it was more.
Maybe, I don't even know. It's going to be. I told you earlier, I'm not very good with that dates. I'm so bad, man. But so, like with the 300 way, and you're going to remember this. I honestly, I say this a lot. The 300 way and the 400 way, the energy that I remember us in the hangar in Engloy, and Sherry Shrimpster came up and she had that picture of that thing and she just held it up. Like the energy in there was literally like winning the world. I literally was like, still gives me goosebumps,
Yeah, I got it.
It was crazy. Like that place went off, and then you remember. Then we were like, "Hey, tomorrow we're going to do the 328 way and take the bench on it." I was like, "It's a terrible idea, man. This is not a good idea." And we tried it for like about 12 seconds, and we're like, "Okay, wait a minute." People had too many spirits last night.
I've never seen one event, especially record, that we broke the record and then the next day we try to do something bigger.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? Terrible idea, It was good. The faith of it was good. They wanted to, take the guys that had been on the bench and maybe, but it was something for the next week or something, but not that day. And then the 400 weight, the very same thing, But
right.
Like I was trying to explain to someone the other day that there's this crazy phenomena in like both the 300 way and the 400 way, but that no matter where you are in that jump, I think there's a moment where like everybody knows, hey, this thing's done. It gets this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't see people low. You know what I mean? Other than the cameraman, you don't see like sometimes you see a funnel and you're like, oh no, this isn't going to work. But you don't see anybody low, of course. But there's this stillness that comes over those things that, and unlike some things we've done in the challenge that were so distorted that you're just fighting the whole time. But like with straight in records, it's just like, I remember like on the 400 way and the 300 way, like George Gika and I talking about that, like we both knew that thing was done. It's like there's nobody low and it's like, man, it's quiet in here. You know what I mean? It's like there's no major tension on it, and it's cool. It's a very nice phenomenon, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. On the 300 way, I actually felt a little static energy, almost like a little static energy, like when it goes. Yeah, it was amazing.
I'm with you. I'm telling you, it's fucking weird.
But the 400 way, remember that the last jump, we thought we got it. Everybody was cheering and stuff like that, and then we got 399.5. One grip was wrong.
Yeah,
right?
One grip. Yeah.
And then we had to actually, after like just going at it, and then we had to actually get the focus back, and we had one last opportunity, and we went up and we actually closed it. So it's probably the first time or the only time I've been on something that we got that high up on relaxing. And then had to go back and say, okay, guys, this is it. Yeah. So that was amazing. I thought that 400 was amazing for that.
And I say this too, like in world record jumps like that, I know for belly climb, that any one of those slots, a lot of people in skydiving could do those slots.
Yeah.
Getting 420 people plus a cameraman to do it all together at the same time, that is a feat. That's the hardest part. the whole, this everything, like the logistics of having oxygen work in all 5 C-130s. And, we had problems with that early on in some of the 200 ways. People weren't getting oxygen, and, hypoxia, when you're at whatever we were at, 26.5, it's a real thing, man,
Exactly. And it's funny because even till today, when people invite me to organize records, state records and stuff, they go, "How many jumps do you think we need?" I said, 1. If I can get everybody on the same brain length and the same brain wave and to do their jobs, we need 1.
Yes, 1. Yeah, it would be so easy, And I remember that at challenges, it would be like, people look at the formation, oh yeah, this thing's going to be easy. I think we're going to get this pretty early. Then there we are on the last jump on Monday. Okay, we got to do this, and you can't take things for granted, And like I said, it's about the connected performance, which is what makes that feels so good, like a world meet, because that's sort of the same thing. It is, even at world meets for 4-way, 8-way, for me, it's a connected performance. It's not just me, it's all of us, and the same thing, 300-way, 400-way, pretty rad,
Yeah.
It really is.
So what's probably the most rad thing you've done?
Oh my gosh, man, I don't know. I think, going, doing 2 events in '99, that was pretty fun, really going for it. We it was one of those things that I was a guy that I didn't believe that we really needed to rest that much. I thought we could just train. We trained a lot anyway, And now in hindsight, we needed a lot more rest. I needed a lot more rest. And at that '99 World Meet, the French had just overtaken us in around like 6 or 7. And there was handwriting on the wall that, man, there would have to be a miracle for us to catch them. And then the Russians were coming up on us too. And it was just a matter of, with those 2 radials crossed, they were catching us, and we won by a point in 8-way. And the French, they handed it to us by maybe 7, 8 points, I think, maybe more. They were beating us up. And but that whole year of going for both, it was a very rewarding thing, because your mind needs to switch some gears between 8-way and 4-way, but it actually enhances them both. So like when you go from 8-way to 4-way, oh, it's so simple. It's all right here. I can see everything, And when you go from 4-way to 8-way, you know that you have to, calm yourself down a little bit, and say, okay, wait a minute, I need to really make sure I'm doing all the process. This 4-way, I can kind of see everything in my peripheral, And so it was a very rewarding year, and I think too, that was the year that we had beat the Golden Knights, and the Golden Knights had dominated in the United States, in the world forever, and we, again, there was an opportunity. The Golden Knights were in some rebuild, and we put a bunch of jumps on it, and that was, what did it. But going for both of that's super cool. Just everything, man. Like I was doing an interview for the Hall of Fame thing, and they were asking about jumps, and I was telling them that in '97, jumping the tailgate is a super intimate situation with people, because normally, like on the side row, you're all kind of bent up in there, and you're not looking, but in a tailgate, you're just standing face to face, waiting for the green light. You're waiting, and you're just standing there. There's no bent down. You just step off the tailgate, and I remember Dan. We're face to face, waiting for the green light, and it was a long time. Sometimes it seemed like it was forever. And he's like, "Hey, have a good jump." I was like, "Yeah, you too. Have a good jump, man." And then you step off there and you have the jump of your life. It's crazy, man. It's such a nice experience. And then, the other thing too, like jumping in so many different aircraft, helicopters, and Croatia, or did some stuff in Finland for the World Games, and getting different jump ships, super cool, man. Also, seeing how all the different countries work, and it's great.
That's fantastic, man. I was going to talk about that for last, but one thing you wouldn't do in skydiving if you could go back.
That I went back. Man. And now in hindsight, probably, I don't know, just when you're young, you don't take care of yourself physically as well as you probably could. I mean, we were animals as far as making sure that we were ready, but all of the rest of it, like as I got older, my diet and all of it, man, just so many more things that I do now I was a big guy on airspeed too. On the forward team, I was a big dude. So I did a lot of cardio. I did some stuff, and they wanted me to be small. It's a lot of mass already, and so, but now I do a lot of weightlifting and kind of high interval training and all these things. And in hindsight, I wish I would have paid more attention to that. I think about probably would have been a lot better. And just my diet alone. But I was maniac there for a few of those years too. So you know what I mean. It's just I think that's most of it. But as far as skydiving, I really I enjoyed my time in Arizona, and I enjoyed my time in Paris when I was there, and everywhere. DeLand. When we formed Airspeed, I wanted to stay in DeLand. I loved DeLand at that time. It just kind of was where we went in the wintertime. But it tells you that there's good people everywhere. It's always the same thing,
That's good.
Good people,
And tell me now, just as a last question here, how does it feel to be a Hall of Famer? By the way, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. It's an amazing thing, man. I mean, I still, it doesn't hit me sometimes, and it certainly had a thing on my family. My family, we're a loving family for sure, but we're all busy people, so we don't, connect on a, I don't know, monthly or yearly basis sometimes. I mean, we do, but like my immediate family, but so that got a lot of like my old, aunts and uncles, and then everybody, congratulating me. And certainly, like I said, it was never my intention. That it's a very, very nice thing, and so many giants there. You know what I mean? Like I just can't even get into. And even my class that I have here with Larry and Mike McGowan and Paul Rafferty, it's a lot of people that I grew up in skydiving, man, and I grew up there, and certainly a lot of those people were part of that, and I just think that skydiving is so. I was telling the story today, and my other thing that I was doing that I remember. I can't remember what the timing was, but I was in Brazil, and somebody was taking me to the airport. I had a long drive, and they spoke zero English, and I speak very little Portuguese, whatever. But we literally sitting for 3 hours talking, completely communicating, through pantomime or whatever. We didn't need a common language. We had skydiving, and friendship. And I remember that whole thing, like, you can get anything done if you're cordial to each other. You know what I mean? And we would have that. You're trying to explain something, and and it was great, fantastic. I won't forget it. Where it kind of it overflows into all things skydiving, and like here, considering like with the COVID thing, right? I remember for years in the 80s, my dad's drop zone, the late 70s, 80s, the bad recession, no gas and things like that. And skydiving, at least in the United States, pretty recession-proof, because you can only think about skydiving when you're skydiving. You can't be thinking about all the problems that you have. There's no place for that. There's no time for that. You're only here in the moment, And I think that with here, and we certainly saw that when we opened back up, limited airplane space. Of course, we're only taking 10 at Paraclete right now, but when we opened back up, packed, man. People, skydiving, I think, is going to be forever unique and not big, not very mainstream. I think that's okay, but you attract all the right type A personalities out there, and you know what I mean. You can only think about skydiving when you're skydiving, and I don't get. We've done some base jumping, and we've done a lot of things. You and I have done a lot of things over the years, different things, and not many things compared to skydiving. They don't, and it's a nice thing, And we don't think of it. Skydivers don't think of it as death defying, even though sometimes the public does. But it's not. That's not what we think. It's all just the fun of it.
That's cool, man. And we're coming up on about an hour here, buddy. So I just want to ask everybody to like the video and share it. So se vocês puderem gostar do vídeo e compartilhar, esse vídeo vai ficar por aqui. This video is going to be here if anybody wants to come back and watch it. But dude, it's been a while since I've seen you. You look really good. And with the
Thank you.
gray and with the gray coming up in that beard, you kind of reminds
Yeah.
me of you remind me of George Clooney, man.
Santa Claus? Oh man, sorry. Oh man, we gotta get together sometime.
We do. I
Hopefully-
miss you, man.
We're trying. We were originally trying to make a trip to Brazil after the Nationals, Gina and I. But with COVID, I'm not sure if we'll be able to pull that off. But maybe. Well, it's a long way away. Hopefully we'll. Yeah, we're coming to São Paulo and Boituva. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
hopefully I get to see you.
Well, you got to come and see and stay a couple of nights here
I'm
with
ready.
me.
I'm ready. You gotta meet my girlfriend Gina. She's great.
That's
And
fantastic.
they're also, that's another thing. They're training 4-way, the girls team. So they have a girls team now that's an XP team, and they've been training like maniacs, and they're getting very, very, very good quick. So they're also going to be out there, going to be a force to deal with coming up because they're driven, So
That's
they've been
fantastic.
training hard, and they're little, and they can move like lightning.
That's fantastic, man. Any last words, buddy? Any last
No,
words
I
for
just-
the
I'd
skydiving
say hello to
community?
everybody, and hopefully I get to come to Boituva in November, and we get to hang out a little bit.
Fantastic. I hope so, man. I really miss you.
Me too. I miss you, buddy.
Brother, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with
You
us.
got it.
And I really appreciate it. And thank you very much for everybody being here and watching us. And I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Really miss
Okay,
you.
buddy. All
Love
right,
you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
take
Yeah,
care.
love you.
I'll
See ya.
see you. Bye.